طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Does it look okay? Stand back. This is better?
No, you're good. Yeah, okay.
What is it? This is okay?
No, you have to go backwards. Yeah, like this.
Or maybe we can move it backward, yes.
Okay, that's way better. Yeah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. While you're grabbing your snacks, inshallah, we can continue. Now, a good question. Is Canada a melting pot? What do you guys think? Some says yes. What others are saying? What the sisters are saying? Kind of. So. Okay. Well, there is a possibility that Canada could be a melting pot, but I think that's what we promote, isn't it? But in illusion, in theories, that's what Canada is promoting. Is it real or not? That's a different story. As I said earlier, there are issues of Islamophobia and different other challenges that you guys are facing, and primarily for the sister side, as you're wearing your hijab and walking around, you could feel the heat. You feel you're being singled out. You're not as being looked at as another person. You probably have heard certain comments or certain you've faced certain racial or discriminatory situations when you are in the school or in the street or shopping outside. The same could be for the brothers, because you could look like as a Muslim, whether because of your beard or your outfit. So this is something to keep in mind. But in general, the culture here in Canada is very tolerant and diverse. And I've visited the US. I studied the US, and I visited the US in different trips as an imam, and I participated in different leadership programs with the US government. And the US culture in general is absolutely different than the Canadian ones. So that's why in Canada we do have Muslim MPs. As a matter of the fact, we have a minister from the Muslim community, the Minister of Immigration. So this speaks for how diverse Canada is. Yes, are there challenges for presenting yourself, Islamophobia, and all the details? Yes, they do exist. But in general, we're living in a very tolerant, very diverse environment. Keep that in mind, because because some people think that I have a glass ceiling barrier. You heard that term from the glass ceiling. It could possibly exist, but here in Canada, things are much different. We live in a very diverse, very cultural society, and a country that promotes diversity. Even in the US, who knows this? Who's this? Sisters should know her. Come on, brothers. Do you know her?
Is she from Canada or something?
What's that?
Is she from Canada or something?
No, you see what's the background flag?
No, Canada.
I know, but you can tell who she is probably from the background flag. Cuba? Not really. Yes, sister.
Is she the first Muslim that went to the Congress?
Congress, that's right. Do you know her name?
No.
Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar. She's the first Muslim, and actually not the first one, but she is along with other sister Rashida, and these, as they called in the team of the three colors, who are the quote-unquote pain of the neck in the neck for the president, without getting into further details. So even in the most challenging environment, even in the most difficult political situations, you're still able to thrive. You're still able to prove yourself, and still able to make a difference, and still able to excel. And that's what I want you to keep in mind, whether it is in Canada or US or anywhere else in the world, except unfortunately for some of the Muslim countries we belong to. The chances for you to be able to excel and prove yourself are are better here than it is in some other countries in the world. So, do you have a choice in life? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You had in your plate, what is it? Coconut cookies, and you have, you drink mango juice. You did not take, for instance, the Five Live or the Fruitopia or the whatever chips they have there, right? You have a choice. What do you think, sisters? You have a choice in your life, but in what you eat. But what about other things in life? Right. So we all in principle agreeing that we do have a choice in life. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran different places without getting into further details. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Different places in the Quran indicates that you do have a choice in your life. And as I said earlier, in the formation of the personality or defining personality, there are elements of your life which you have control on, and there are other elements in your life which you have no control on. As I said, like a young man or a young woman growing up, for instance, in Gaza, where in Palestine, or in Yemen, where the war is taking place right now, or in Syria, where the war was happening, or in the Chinese Muslim who are living in segregated camps, or people of Kashmir. They might not have many choices or options available for them. There's limited choices and options, but in general, you do have a choice in your life to be present here or to be somewhere else. You could be, going outside trick and treat, right, yeah, Samir? There are some people who have chosen to be, outside trick and treat. Yeah, that's a choice they have made. So in general, there are different level, stages of hidayah, as Islam indicates to us, as it's indicated in the Quran. There's the general hidayah, which is the fitrah hidayah. You are by fitrah, naturally, you're inclined to like or to do the good things in life. And there's the hidayah of al-dalala wal-bayan wal-irshad wal-ta'lim. This is coming from the hidayah of the Quran and the hidayah of the Prophet ﷺ sunnah. And we do have the hidayah al-tawfiq wal-ma'una, which is the hidayah that will be giving you the endorsement to keep going in the right path in your life, and this will be coming from Allah Azza wa Jal to you as you're struggling in life. And then the hidayah al-jannah wal-nar yawm al-qiyamah, this is something to be done to us in the hereafter. So in general, Ibn al-Qayyim indicates فَكُلَّمَا ارْتَقَى الْعَبْدُ فكلما ارتقى العبد ربه ارتقى إلى هداية أخرى. فكلما ارتقى العبد ربه ارتقى إلى هداية أخرى. فهو في مزيد هداية ما دام في مزيد من التقوى. The translation is that Ibn Qayyim indicated that as you are more conscious of Allah, as you're more muttaqi to Allah Azza wa Jal, as you are able to supplement and rise in your path to Allah Azza wa Jal. So the more muttaqi you are, the more you will be able to make it through in your life throughout the challenges. There's a beautiful story in the Quran, in a chapter we all read once a week, which is Surah Al-Kahf. And Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about this concept. إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا. So this is a group of teens, and because fitya in the Arabic language means young people. First of all, آمنوا بربهم. They start by having the iman. وإنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى. The second thing that Allah Azza wa Jal gave to them after they started with the hidayah is Allah Azza wa Jal tightened on their hearts. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ. And وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. Allah increased their guidance. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلى قُلُوبِهِمْ. And then after that give them the strength to be able to stand up and face the challenges that they faced in the Quran and in their time, so that their challenge and their story will be documented in the Quran that will be recited until the Day of Judgment. So there are people who live in life who leave no marks behind them. If you look into the books of history, you will find that from every cohort or every stage in the history of a human life, there are a few individuals who leave marks behind them, and there are millions or maybe billions who have lived and died and no one knew about them. They could have been people who were rich, by the way. It could have been they could have been people who were famous in their communities, but they did not leave marks that are, you know, sufficient enough or you know, good enough for people to remember. But so when you think of your life, what I am leaving behind as a person after a long life, or even not necessarily a long life, even my present life, what could I do? These are young people. They're young people, as I said, Allah said fitya. So how many of you know this, the story of the king and the boy, which is mentioned in the Quran, right? وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ. This speaks about the story of the king and the boy. A boy and a king. Because of what the boy did, Allah Azza wa Jalla documented also his story in the Quran, in a book that will be recited until the day of judgment. So think, you know, age is irrelevant. What matters the most is what you have inside your heart and how much you act in what you have in your heart, in your life, and you know, and sacrifice for it. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, you know, said that, you know, indicated this fact to us in the Quran, that it starts by you. It starts by you having the iman, the belief in Allah Azza wa Jalla, and taking actions into acting upon this iman, and then eventually Allah Azza wa Jalla will be paving the road for you and giving you the guidance. So in other words, life is a journey. You're taking a journey towards improving and supplementing in your life until you get to the top, which is to reach al-nafs al-mutma'inna. And in this regard, Allah Azza wa Jalla, and oh my gosh, did I do something wrong?
It's just because the picture was linked to a link and you clicked on it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now I got it. So your aim and strive is to make it to the top, to be from al-nafs al-mutma'inna, satisfied nafs, satisfied ruh. طيب. Oh my, not again. Okay, there, I think I shouldn't be clicking on the images.
Yeah, instead of clicking the solution, hit the left button on the.
Yeah, okay, I think I should do that. Yeah. I'll be more careful inshallah next time. طيب. Okay. So Quran describes for us different types of personalities. And this is also, by the way, proven scientifically that people come up, you know, in different personalities. وَلَقَدْ وَرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. So people, generally speaking, categorize into 4 different categories. It could be more than this. The Quran actually talks about four different categories, not 3. In the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla introduces to us 3 different categories, but the 4th category is embedded somewhere in the Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. For instance, this is in Surah Al-Furqan. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, we have given the book to those whom we have selected from our servants. You know, think of it this way. وَلَقَدْ ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. We have inherited the book to those whom we have selected from our servants. First of all, you're being selected. That Allah Azza wa Jalla have sent to you the Quran. You're being chosen, in other words. There are other people on earth who are not Muslims by faith. And from those people who Allah Azza wa Jalla have blessed to be Muslim, born to a Muslim family, or have chosen their path to come to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, are being selected by Allah Azza wa Jalla. And on top of all that, Allah Azza wa Jalla have given you a special gift, which is the Quran. And based on the interaction with the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla said that we are in 3 different categories. فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ, unjust to themselves, wrongdoer to themselves. وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ, there are those who are, very, on the edge with their, moderate in their interaction with the Quran, and there are those who are سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ, pioneers in their approach and their interaction with the Quran. Okay, exactly. So the ظَالِمٌ فِي نَفْسِهِ لِنَفْسِهِ are those who are, mutajabbir, either, tyrant, aggressive, wrongdoer to themselves, or it could be a person who is imma. The Prophet ﷺ said, خياركم في الإسلام خياركم في الجاهلية. خياركم في الجاهلية خياركم في الإسلام. Why I'm saying this? Because does anyone know about the story of Islam to Umar al-Khattab? Quickly, because we have, so what do you think of, can you say a little bit about that?
About how he converted, right?
How he converted, yes.
Didn't he find out, like, he wanted to, he was looking, people told him that
his sister converted and he was so angry. Umar al-Khattab was very tough. Even before Islam, he's known to be a tough person. And in one of the occasions when Ayman was trying to flee from Mecca with her son, her son preceded to her outside Mecca and was waiting for his mom to join him. And she met Umar al-Khattab. Al-Khattab, she said, oh my gosh, she was so afraid, terrified. He said, where are you going? She said, leave us alone. We're trying to leave from Mecca so we're able to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. And then he said to her, وَفَقَدْكِ السَّلَامَةُ يَا Ayman. He said to her, may the blessings of Allah be with you. She felt that Umar al-Khattab is changing. And when she left and catch up with her son to her, she said to her son what Abu Khattab said, and her son said the following: are you hoping that Umar will become Muslim? If my donkey become Muslim, Umar will become Muslim. That's how much he gave up hope in Umar al-Khattab. He was very tough on Muslims, especially the weak ones. And then eventually, in the famous story, Allah has changed his heart. So there is nothing that can prevent you from being, inshallah, from those who can make a difference in their life and life of others around you. No matter how far you have gone, and no matter how aggressive and misled people are in their life, never give up hope of yourself and others around you. But there are those who are imma, those who are this is an example of those who are aggressive. They chosen they're very aggressive in dealing with others around them. They're choosing a wrong path to achieve things in life. Some turn to traffic drugs because it is an easy way for them to be able to make money. Others choose to join certain groups that would give them the empowerment to be able to do things in life. All these are wrong path. There are those who are not as productive and to themselves and others around them as they should be. And again, there are those who are imma, as the Prophet ﷺ indicated. لا يكن أحدكما إمّا. There are those who have no values in their life. If you ask them why you are here, he said, well, because my parents want me to. Because what do you think what are you trying to achieve in life? I said, I don't know. My parents asked me to be here, and I have to be here because I have no choice. There are those who have no initiative in their life. They're so diffused and confused in their life that they're so shallow. They don't have any initiatives in their life, and those are people, generally speaking, called losers. And most of the time, people of both sides, tyrants or diffused people, end up at the end having loser jobs in basic jobs, basically. So they end up having jobs that are basically enable them to survive because they did not invest enough in their life. Now let's go to the next category. ومنهم من الله من يعبد الله على حرف. There are those who worship Allah Azza wa Jal on the edge. If I become practicing person and practicing have led me to be happy, I'm able to join you MSA, and MSA is providing funding. We're buying snacks, so we're able to have beautiful activities. We're able to go for different stuff and do different things. And I go to the mosque, and there are so many activities where good food is served. Nothing is wrong with that, alhamdulillah. But when things are changing, when things become tough, when the sisters are being challenged wearing their hijab, or when the brothers are being challenged growing up their beard, things change a little bit, and they start re-evaluating things in life. So those are who are worshiping Allah on the edge. Ya'budullah ala harf. And there are those who are muqtasid. They're moving in their life, but they're not progressive enough to be motivated to be going around and exploring things and take the initiatives to change their life. Living an average life is not a choice. There are billions who are living on earth who are living an average life. Don't be average. Be above average. Be different. Be unique. Be a person who can leave a memory or a legacy behind Not in a sense of being famous and known, but in the sense of Islam, being a Muslim who does a job into serving the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. How many of you know Mus'ab ibn Umayr? How many of you know Mus'ab ibn Umayr? You know him personally?
I wish.
Oh, you wish. There you go. Why you said you wish? Mus'ab ibn Umayr was a young man in Mecca who was, a child of a very rich woman, and he had everything a young man could wish for in life at that time. He had a camel with 2 humps, air conditioning, keyless entry, goes from 0 to 60 only within 5 minutes. So everything a young man wished for in Mecca, Mus'ab ibn Umayr had it. They say, people used to tell if Mus'ab was walking in the street because of the perfume smell. He used to wear perfume that stays for a long time. After he became Muslim, he left everything and he came to Allah Azza wa Jal. To the point, the Prophet ﷺ chose him to be the first ambassador of Islam to Medina. And because of Mus'ab ibn Umayr's hard work, he paved the road to the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba to migrate from Mecca to Medina. Now the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina and saw Mus'ab, he cried. He said, "What makes you cry, Ya Rasulullah?" He said, "I saw Mus'ab ibn Umayr in Mecca, dressed in fancy clothes, living a very comfortable life. And look at him right now. He is wearing very, harsh clothes, and his skin is peeling off as a result of the harsh, environment he's living in." This is what Mus'ab ibn Umayr is. He was a young man. He gave up everything, but he lived and he gained everything in his life and in his way to Allah Azza wa Jal. Let's move on, inshallah. And there are those who are active, searching for the truth. They're always, going online, searching for, different ideas, searching for different, issues, and exploring, attending different halaqah, taking the initiative, not because, that their parents are pushing them but because they want to learn the Quran. They want to know the seerah. They want to understand how I can apply Quran in my life. How could I be a different person? What Quran is all about? Is it only about reciting, verses, or is it about, being a person who is interacting with Quran in life? So those are people would normally be reaching. This is a stage that comes before the achieved personality, or an-nafs al-mutma'inna, which I call it. And once you are in this stage, in the stage of being in the an-nafs al-mutma'inna, then you feel that you know what you need in life. Once we had a camp for young brothers, and I said to people, what would you like to do in your life? Like, what are your goals in life? And only one person in a group of 20 to 25 people, one person only came forward and he said, "I am in high school right now. My goal is to finish high school, go to university, finish political science, and then get a master's of degree in law and international law." I said, "Subhanallah." He knows what he wants to get in life. So ask yourself, what do I want to achieve in life? Let me explain for you frankly. Getting a job, or getting married afterwards, and having children, and driving a nice car, or living in a fancy house is not a goal. It comes naturally. If Allah had chosen for you and allocated for you your rizq to be able to enjoy these things in life, you'll enjoy it. These are not goals in life. Trust me, I'm talking from experience. I'm triple the age of yours. And these things come naturally in life. Khalas, they by default, if Allah doesn't have a rizq for you, you will have it, you will enjoy it. But what are you getting out of your life? When the time comes for you and you will be leaving dunya, what you will feel that you're happy with, that you have achieved, you will meet Allah Azza with. What's your contribution to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, to changing the conditions of the Muslim community, the Muslim ummah in general? Because right now we're living in a very difficult time as an ummah. So what are my contribution? What could I do to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal? So this is basically what the achieved personality would be, gaining or getting in life. This is what I hope that we are able to reach in our life. And by the way, some people say that this stage comes after so many stages in life. So you're not born to be like this. You go through different struggles in your life to be able to jump from one stage to another stage until you're able to reach that stage where you feel that you are ready, you are on track, able to move in the speed, full speed towards your goal in life to be able to meet Allah Azza wa Jal. Mu'adh ibn Jabal, how many of you have heard of his name? Mu'adh ibn Jabal, the أعلم أمتي بالحلال والحرام, the most knowledgeable of my ummah of halal haram. He died at a young age, but he left behind him a legacy. Many of the Sahaba who have lived with the Prophet ﷺ lived not for a long time. Majority of them, some of them have lived and survived after the Prophet ﷺ death, even a long time after that. But some of them lived for a short time, but they left a huge legacy behind them that are still remembered up to nowadays. Think of yourself. What is it that I am good at in life? And by the way, not all people are expected to be scholars of Quran or fiqh, or to be engineers or to be doctors. You are given different skills in life that Allah Azza wa Jal had given to you as a gift. Discover them, know them, and set a goal for you using these gifts that Allah Azza wa Jal have given to you to be able to achieve the best of what you have in life. So basically, you need to start by doing da'wah, understanding, your deen. Before this is the presentation, I wanted to share with you, before we go to this slide, I want to share with you and conclude with a very short chapter in the Quran. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. What does this short surah of 3 verses say to us?
What?
Yeah.
I swear by time that back
Good.
then in laws,
Except
except for those who perform salah and obligation.
إِلَّا الَّذِينَ. What's آمنوا? Believe. عملوا الصالحات. No. Did righteous.
Was right and were patient on the right path.
And وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Al-Shafi'i said that this is a surah that is so sufficient that if only Quran, from the Quran, that this surah was revealed would be sufficient enough for people to make their way to Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's a very short, but it's very inclusive surah that leads you to Allah Azza wa Jal. And in this surah, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying by time, wal-asr, referring to the time. Allah is making an oath by the time that in general, mankind are in loss. Now think of it this way. You're in one of the classes and the instructor walks in and say, everyone failed except. It means that the majority of the class have failed. Get fantastic marks, except maybe 1 or 2. So that gives you an idea that the majority are have lost. So Allah is saying, everyone is in loss. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Inclusive article, an emphasizing article that in general mankind in loss. طيب, Ya Rabbi, who is not in loss except those who believed? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They believed in Allah Azza wa Jal. So believing is an important, part of your journey to Allah Azza wa Jal. إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ. They believed in their Lord. And what does believing in Allah Azza wa Jal mean to you? What's believing in Allah Azza wa Jal mean to you? Yeah.
Right.
That's an action. But what does it believe in Allah Azza wa Jal? وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. Yes?
Singling out and worship and what's halal and what's haram, how to live your life according to what He's given you.
Allah says in the Quran, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتُمْ, yeah.
Yeah, making dua, and then even if something bad happens to us, we should do sabr and wait, because everything happens for
طيب.
Yeah.
Allah Azza wa Jal says, ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرون في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. In the hadith, long hadith, we know that when the Jibreel came to teach the Prophet ﷺ, said to him, أخبرني عن الإيمان. First, أخبرني عن الإسلام, and then أخبرني عن الإيمان. So he said to him, الإيمان أن تؤمن بالله ورسله وكتبه وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر والقدر خيره وشره. Believe, because we have clear understanding what's Islam, 5 pillars of Islam. The pillars of Iman are 6. To believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, and the Malaika, and the prophets, and the scripts, and to believe in the qadr khayruhu wa sharruhu, the fate, the good of it, and the bad of it. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. If you ask the disbelievers in the time of the Prophet, who created, السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, He created the earth, the skies and the earth, they would say Allah. They did not have a problem to believe that Allah is the creator. But what's their problem then? Their problem was to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So what's the application of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah? Yeah? Okay, good for you.
I would say following the Sunnah.
Knowing that Allah is the creator, Allah is the sustainer, Allah is the controller of all your affairs in life. Knowing that Allah is the one who has the ultimate power in what's in the skies and what's in the earth is belief. So there's, you are not a true believer if you feel that, my fear to any entity beside Allah Azza wa Jal exists. If you are not a true believer, if you have a fear that someone could be controlling my rizq, whether it is an employer or whether it is someone who could hurt and jeopardize my position at work, or it could be changing my life in a way or another. Believing that Allah Azza wa Jal is the creator, has the ultimate power into your life, is what is the true iman that you should have in your heart. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. I count on Allah Azza wa Jal, none else. He is the master of Al-Arsh Al-Azim, the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is huge and magnificent. So this is, the iman. Iman is to firmly believe that you are a creation, a tiny creation of a master who have created not only you, created this huge, magnificent universe. And once you know that you are a servant of that creator, then your fear will be disappearing from anything else that Allah created, and your ultimate count and dependency will be on Allah Azza wa Jal. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Immediately, عمل الصالحات, by the way, doing righteous is not only salah. Salah is part of the ibadat, but العمل الصالح is everything that you do in your life. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You were the best of nations that you invite people to do the good and forbid the evils. For instance, in a few short time, do you think Halloween is acceptable or unacceptable for us as Muslims?
The devil.
Like, what about going outside and collecting candy for children?
Unacceptable.
Why? Is there anything wrong with collecting candy?
No.
Like it's almost like the idea.
Because you don't know what they put inside and their intentions of giving you the candy.
Now, if you're telling me eating too much candy is unhealthy, we do more than that in Eid. Come on, the amount of candy we eat in Eid is more than what is eaten in Halloween. If you're telling me that we're dressing up is not good, we dress up in Eid, right? But we wear a thawb and we wear things. But for them, it looks like Halloween.
I think the niyat is wrong. Like
The niyat is wrong.
Yeah, it's Halloween. So
Anything else? Yeah. Yes, Akhi.
I don't know the lessons you shared with everyone before, so maybe this is out of context, but perhaps we should think if we're gonna spend an afternoon going to a whole bunch of our neighbors' homes to take candy from them, then can't we make use of the same activity, but instead of going to ask for candy, we're want to share with them about our religion. But we won't do that all year, but we'll go and take their candy.
Let's hear from the sister.
It's believed to be a pagan celebration, and most of them, there are people who do worship the devil, and who knows, the person that you're knocking on the door, they may be worshiping the devil. So who knows what, if that candy has something that will lead, I don't know, like.
But you started good. You know, this is an origin of halal, because for the sake of time, that is, you know, stemming primarily from the Christian theology as well as the pagan theology merged together to come up with something called Halloween, regardless. And, you know, what I want you to keep in mind, and I want you to come up with as a result of this, is as a young Muslim growing up in Canada, what are my contribution to the mainstream society? You're not only here living in Canada to eat and sleep, and as I said again, to get a good job at the end of your school work. If this is what you're aiming for, then you're not different than other people who are living in this society, regardless of their faith background. Now, if you're seeing engaged in the same activities that the mainstream is doing, and these, you know, activities in your evaluation, in your standards, are not acceptable, but you still do them because you feel there's nothing wrong with collecting candy, there's nothing wrong with doing this, there's nothing wrong with doing that, well then, how are you different? What if you know, mainstream people, the people are living in the mainstream society, are looking at you, sister, and wearing hijab? They see you as different, but what are you bringing to their life that is different, that they will follow you and wear the same, you know, outfit you're wearing? Or if a brother, you know, is, you know, growing a beard, looks, you know, very handsome and nice, but, you know, is doing basically nothing unique or different. But what are you doing to invite people to Islam? كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. If you are not living a unique life, if you do not have a different identity, if you are not unique in the way you represent yourself to the mainstream society, you're not a real Muslim. Being a real Muslim is to be unique, to be different. That's why in Islam, we're discouraged from copying others. We're not supposed to be copying others so that we are unique. As a Muslim living in the West, I need to represent a different identity. What can I do in my life so that I am different, so that people can see, okay, wait a minute, this guy or this girl is different. You know, there must be something behind why they are different. There must be something why they are, you know, not doing, you know, silly things or doing things that are, you know, destructive to the society around them. Drinking booze and going outside and partying is very destructive to your health. You know, the money that is spent into, you know, aftermath of the problems of drinking is big, but people are not paying attention to it. They don't want to pay attention to it. Using drugs is very destructive, you know, to the life of many people, whether it is legal marijuana or any other substance, you know, abuses. These are destroying people's life, but people don't want to know that. They don't, because they're into it. They're immersed into the lifestyle that pushes them always to, you know, run after shahawat. Now, when you're fighting this shahawat and living a different lifestyle, you're representing a different model.